At her touching birthday celebration, she discovered an incredible secret that changed everything. The community center buzzed with energy, the warm light casting a golden hue on Sarah as she served pie after pie to her friends and family. They laughed and cheered, celebrating Sarah's 30th birthday, a milestone she bore with pride given her journey as a single mother. Josh, her bright-eyed son, darted from table to table, spreading joy like confetti. Yet, amidst the cake and cheer, Sarah felt an unsettling knot in her stomach, an anxious reminder of the economic weight pressing down on their lives. She smiled brightly, for tonight was not just a birthday but a gathering of the community's heart and soul. As the clock ticked toward the celebration's peak, a mysterious envelope slid through the crowd, drawing everyone's attention. Curious whispers erupted as Sarah's hands trembled slightly, the envelope crumpling under her fingers. She felt a rush of warmth suffusing into her heart, a moment suspended in time, holding her breath as she tore it open. Inside lay a letter, yellowed with age, the handwriting unmistakably her father's. He had been taken too soon when she was barely a teenager. She thought she had lost all connection to him. The words danced on the page, sharing secrets about an inheritance she never expected, a legacy intertwined with dreams and disappointments that made her father who he was. Gasps and murmurs rippled through the room, and for a moment, the joy of the celebration faded. "Is that really from him?" one of the elders asked, gazing at her with eyes filled with compassion. Time seemed to freeze for Sarah, her heart raced faster than ever. She could almost hear the weighty echoes of her father's voice brushing against her consciousness. But with every revelation came the weight of hidden family tensions, embedded like fractures in a tight-knit wood, a past she barely knew but felt in her bones. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The tension hung thick in the air as Sarah's mother stepped forward, her face tight with fear and the weight of unspoken history. "You don't know what you're opening, Sarah." Her voice shook with an urgency that pierced through the celebratory mood. Old wounds resurfaced with trembling vulnerability, buried memories clawing their way back to the surface, unresolved and raw. With every passing second, Sarah grappled with her newfound reality. The promise of a better life for her and Josh wrestled against loyalty to her mother's guarded heart. The townsfolk, once a united front cheering for her resilience, now shifted restlessly, uncertain about the truth unveiled. In a heartbeat filled with emotion, Sarah stood at a crossroads, daring to pivot towards a different future or clinging to the past that shaped her so deeply. As warmth from the laughter faded, Sarah realized the stakes were higher than a simple inheritance. The community she cherished now stood vulnerable, caught between tradition and truth, with her at the helm. With feelings swirling inside her, Sarah clutched the letter tightly, her future uncertain and profound. As she looked around the room, anticipation crackled like electricity. Would she embrace her father's legacy and risk the ties to family that had always meant everything? Or would she carve out her own path? The heart of a single mother beat strong against the echoes of the past. The night loomed large with possibilities, but the decisions ahead twisted within her heart what awaited her beyond the unfurling of truth. The room hummed with an awkward silence, the kind that stretches like a tightrope above uncertainty. Sarah's pulse thudded in her ears, each beat echoing the weight of her decision. She searched the familiar faces, but their once inviting smiles now appeared clouded with confusion and apprehension. "What have I done?" she wondered, feeling the letter's edge dig into her palm, a tangible reminder of the choices awaiting her. "Mom." Josh's sweet voice broke through the tension, innocent yet perceptive. His eyes sparkled with the simple joy of being part of the celebration, oblivious to the storm brewing around them. He darted closer, his little hand reaching for hers, grounding her in the moment. She grasped it tightly, one soft touch igniting a sense of purpose within her. You know I wouldn't let anything come between us, right, buddy? She murmured, her heart heavy yet determined. But as she looked back at her mother, the fear etched across her face mirrored the turmoil inside Sarah. What does this inheritance mean? Was the question hanging between them, pulled taut like a fragile string about to snap. The elder stepped forward again, his voice low and solemn. Whatever it is, it's not just money. It represents choices, and consequences. His gaze turned pointedly toward Sarah's mother, unearthing buried tension that whispered of old grudges and stories long forgotten. Your father loved this town, Sarah, her mother interjected sharply, her voice rising slightly. But his ideas they caused division. We can't afford to reopen old wounds. Not now. Sarah's mind raced. But what if this is a chance for something better? She took a breath, steeling herself. This could change everything for Josh. For us. Change often comes with a price, her mother replied, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. I just don't want you to get hurt. Sometimes hurting is part of healing, someone from the crowd whispered, their voice weaving through the thick emotions. The words hung in the air like a beacon, urging her to confront the truth head-on. Sarah closed her eyes for a moment, envisioning the life they could lead if she stepped into her father's legacy. A life where financial strain wasn't a constant shadow, where she could provide for Josh not just in basic needs but with opportunities to thrive. But could her desire for a brighter future sever the delicate bond she shared with her mother? As she opened her eyes again, resolve crystallized amidst her swirling thoughts. I need to know what this inheritance really is. I need to understand who my father was, what he fought for. The words escaped her lips with newfound confidence, and she felt the room shift in response. Do you really want to dive into the thunderstorm? A close friend asked, her face etched with concern. What if it pulls you away from us all? That's the risk, isn't it? Sarah replied, her voice steady. But if I don't try, I'll never know. And I'm doing this not just for me, but for my son. A rallying gasp circled through the crowd. She glanced back at Josh, his bright eyes somehow managing to hold reassurance amidst the chaos. Then I'll help you, her mother finally whispered, a hint of reluctant acceptance in her tone. I'll share everything I know. That decision, fraught with turmoil yet laden with hope, marked a new step. The community around her stirred, murmuring, speculating. They had witnessed her growth, her struggles, and now they seemed eager to support her in what lay ahead. As she stepped back to the front, she felt a stirring anticipation bubbling within her, almost electric. Gripping the letter tightly, Sarah declared, I may be opening a door to the past, but I refuse to let fear dictate my future. Together, we can face whatever lies ahead. The crowd erupted in applause. Amid the sound, however, an unsettling realization struck her. She was stepping into a world filled with potential darkness. What lay buried in her father's legacy might demand more than she was willing to give, and as the echoes of her voice settled in the air, the door to the unknown had officially swung open. What truths awaited her in the shadows of her father's past? The clamor of applause faded into a heavy silence. As the warm applause echoed in her chest, Sarah felt a tingle of hope mixed with trepidation. The energy in the room pulsed like a living thing, filling her with a dizzying sense of purpose. But as she surveyed the crowd, something shifted. She could see the fear hidden in their eyes, the unspoken worry about the path she was choosing. Josh squeezed her hand, looking up at her with a small, innocent smile that made her heart flutter. He had no idea what was ahead. For a brief moment, she wished she could shield him from the storm she was about to unleash. Let us find a quiet space, shall we? Her mother suggested, breaking the tension. Sarah nodded, grateful for the reprieve as they stepped away from the throng. The sound of voices grew muted, their world narrowing to a small table in the corner by the window. I never wanted to push you into a corner, her mother began, her voice barely above a whisper. But your father's legacy, it's tangled up in so much pain. We thought it would be easier to let it lie. But maybe it's time to confront that pain, Sarah replied gently, keeping her grip on Josh firm. I have to understand who he was, what he really stood for. I can't live in the shadow of his choices forever. Her mother's face twisted with emotions, sadness mixed with memories. You don't know the whole story. Yes, your father was passionate. He believed in change, but change doesn't come without sacrifices. Some were more significant than others. What do you mean? Sarah pressed, a knot forming in her stomach. She wanted to push further but feared what she might hear. I want you to be prepared, her mother said, her voice trembling. There are people in this town, people who still hold grudges. Unresolved issues from your father's time. It's not just about money, it's about trust, and love, and betrayal. Every word felt like a piece of a puzzle dropping into place, but the picture was still blurred. Sarah's mind raced. Could her father have been a hero to some, a villain to others? She looked outside at the fading light. The sunset cast a soft glow on the town square, masking the shadows that might lurk there. Mom, I need to know everything, she said, determination hardening her voice. Whatever skeletons are hidden in this legacy, just tell me. There was a long pause as her mother considered her words. Finally, she nodded slowly. All right. But I want you to promise me something. If it gets too hard, you need to walk away. This could put you and Josh in danger, Sarah. Danger. The word echoed in her mind, twisting like a knife. I can't back down now. I owe it to myself and to him. The last words hung in the air, bittersweet. Just then, a figure approached from the crowd, an older man whose presence demanded attention. Sarah recognized him as Mr. Caldwell, an old acquaintance of her father's, his gaze heavy with scrutiny. Sarah, he said, his voice gruff, I would advise caution if you decide to dig too deep. Some truths are better left buried. The uninvited warning radiated a mix of fear and foreboding, gripping her heart with icy fingers. Thank you for your concern, Sarah said, trying to keep her voice steady. But inside, her heart raced. What truths lay ahead? Would she shine a light on her father's past, or would she awaken a storm of anger and long-buried resentment? As Mr. Caldwell walked away, her mother placed a hand on Sarah's shoulder. Are you sure you're ready, sweetie? The question pinged in her mind. She was ready, but the hesitation unsettled her. Just let me know where to start, Sarah replied, determined yet feeling the weight of the responsibility already pressing down, and as the dusk settled over the town, she knew one thing for certain, she was ready to face the shadows no matter how dark they might be. What revelations awaited her in the depths of her father's past? Was she truly prepared to uncover the hidden truths that could change everything? The table by the window felt like the center of the universe as the last vestiges of applause faded into the distance. Sarah felt the weight of expectation on her shoulders. She glanced at Josh, still laden with innocence, and it tugged at her heart. She hadn't signed up for this life adventure alone, but she knew it was too late to turn back now. Her mother inhaled deeply, as if steeling herself. We need to start with your father's old files, the ones we kept hidden. Hidden? Sarah repeated, her curiosity piqued. Yes, her mother said softly, eyes drifting to the window. After everything that happened, we thought it was best to keep them out of sight. For your sake. With every word, Sarah could already feel her pulse quickening. What kind of information was locked away? Where are they? She insisted. In the attic. I suppose we never completely moved on from that time. A shadow crossed her mother's face, grief flared around edges of fear. Then let us go. Sarah took Josh's hand, and together they exited the cafe, leaving behind murmurs that she could feel prickling at her back. The air was cool and smelled of impending rain as they made their way home. She clutched Josh's small hand tighter, feeling the tug of protective instinct swelling inside her. The streets they used to wander as children were now sprawling reminders of all that had changed. Buildings stood half-lit, casting long, ominous shadows. Every corner seemed to whisper secrets. Once back, Her mother led them up the narrow staircase to the attic, each creak of the floorboards stirring memories of years past. Dust motes danced in the muted glow of a single bulb. "Tread lightly," her mother warned, opening the door to the space that felt like a forgotten world. Boxes were scattered haphazardly, parents' relics, old toys, mementos, and family photographs. But Sarah was focused on one thing: the files. Her heart raced as she began pulling out boxes, stacking them unceremoniously as she searched. Suddenly, beneath a pile of old blankets, she uncovered a battered green box adorned with her father's initials. The sight of it sent her heart skidding. "Mom, is this it?" Sarah called, her voice bursting with excitement mixed with fear. Her mother nodded slowly, stepping closer as Sarah lifted the lid. Inside were stacks of yellowed papers, newspapers, and letters. Each page felt heavy with untold stories. As she leaned closer, a brittle envelope caught her eye. It was addressed to her father from someone named Clara. There was a postmark dated shortly before his death. Clenching her teeth, she slipped it out, its edges fraying. What did it say? Was this Clara someone important? Just then, Josh's voice broke through her focus. "What's that smell?" he asked, wrinkling his nose. It was sharp and cloying, a heavy scent drifting through the cracks of the attic. Sarah looked over toward the ancient windows, clouds congregating outside, darkening their small space. "Maybe it's just dust," her mother sighed, but Sarah's instincts told her otherwise. That scent felt different, unsettling, and it tightened around her chest. Cutting through the haze, she turned the envelope in her hands, her heart pounding in her ears. She took a breath, lifted the flap, and pulled out the paper. It felt foreign yet familiar, a connection to a past she had yet to understand. As she began to read, words blurred on the page, merging with the mystery spiral tightening around them. Suddenly, there was a loud thud from downstairs. "What was that?" Josh squeaked, fear flickering in his young eyes. Her mother's face drained of color. "Stay here," she whispered urgently as she moved toward the attic door. "Wait!" Sarah shouted, but her mother was already gone, leaving Sarah trapped in the strange room, clutching the letter that might hold the key to everything. What had her mother heard? And what secrets, hidden in the shadows below, were about to be uncovered? Sarah clenched the fragile paper in her hands, the answers hanging just out of reach like the storm gathering above. Would she be brave enough to face whatever came next? Sarah's heart thundered as the door creaked, leaving her alone in the attic's dim light. She could hear Josh muttering nervously under his breath, but her mind was trapped, spiraling around the words in the letter. Slowly, she lowered it, her eyes drifting back to the box. Something deep inside her wanted answers. The shadows in the room felt heavy with unspoken truths, pressing against her, urging her to dig deeper. She set the letter aside, steeling herself to explore the contents of the box further. She looked at her mother's face just before she vanished. It had been a mask of panic. The first thing Sarah picked up was a small leather-bound journal. It felt warm, too warm for its age. As she flipped through the pages, she caught glimpses of her father's handwriting, swooping and confident. But just then, a chilling draft swept through the attic, sending a shiver up her spine. She paused, the atmosphere thickening, and peered through the window. The storm had arrived. Droplets of rain began to tap against the glass, an erratic rhythm that echoed her heartbeat. The cloying scent from before intensified, mixing with the musty odor of the attic. It was too thick, too familiar, something she couldn't put her finger on. "Mom!" she called, only to be met with silence. Panic bubbled inside her. What could have caused that noise? Was her mother okay? She felt an urgent pull to go after her, but she couldn't leave without knowing what lay inside her father's box. She set the journal down but couldn't shake the feeling that she would need it later. Josh's voice cut through her thoughts again. "I'm scared, Sarah," he said softly, his small hands gripping a dusty toy car he'd discovered on the floor. She forced a reassuring smile. "It's okay, buddy. Just think of it as an adventure. We'll be fine." But confidence was a facade. She felt the encroaching weight of fear. Just as she was about to join her mother, another louder thud reverberated through the walls. This time, it was unmistakable, a door slamming. The sound made her freeze, and her palms began to sweat. She glanced back at the letter, hungry for its secrets. Clara, the name echoed in her mind. Who was this woman? Curiosity battled against fear within her. She had to know. Resuming her exploration, Sarah rifled through more papers. She came across a faded postcard, one side showing a sunny beach scene. On the other, in her father's neat handwriting, it read, "Find me when the storms come." A chill swept through her. What storms? She whispered to the empty attic. Before she could think twice, a flicker of movement caught her eye. Shadows twisted within the stacks of boxes, creating an illusion. Taking a deep breath, she walked over, hands trembling, ready to confront whatever lurked in her father's belongings, but instead of darkness, she found an old folded photograph tucked into the corner. It slipped onto her palm, a picture of her father, smiling broadly, standing beside a woman who was not her mother. Her heart dropped. Everything she had known felt like it was crumbling, converting into questions and secrets. As her eyes lingered on the woman's face, recognition dawned. She looked like Clara, the mystery from the letter. Suddenly, her mother appeared in the doorway, breathless and alarmed. "Sarah! We need to go downstairs. Now!" Those words dripped with urgency, but Sarah's eyes were glued to the photograph. "Mom, wait! Who is she?" Without answering, her mother rushed forward, pulling the photograph from Sarah's grip. Something flickered behind her eyes, fear, sadness, possibly anger. "Please, just trust me," her mother pleaded, voice trembling. Time stalled as Sarah felt barely anchored to the ground, the promise of revelations and storms colliding. The room dimmed further, the air thickening again. What more would she uncover? And how deep did the secrets run? In that moment, as thunder rumbled in the distance, she realized that facing the unknown wasn't an option any longer. It was a necessity, life or death. But before she could voice her fears, another noise echoed from downstairs. This time, it was a voice not her mother's. "What are you looking for?" Sarah turned, wide-eyed and suddenly rooted in place, caught between the shadows, her heart racing. Who else was in the house? And what did they want? The air in the attic seemed to vibrate as Sarah turned toward the stairs, her heart pounding so loudly she wondered if it would drown out the voice again. "What are you looking for?" Whoever spoke sounded familiar yet unsettling, like an echo from a past she didn't fully remember. Overwhelmed by fear and curiosity, she hugged the leather journal close, feeling its warmth against her chest, as if it was alive and shared her trepidation. "Sarah!" Her mother called again, this time her tone sharper, slicing through the thick tension. "Please, we need to go." The urgency of her mother's voice propelled Sarah forward, but the mystery of the voice gripped her tighter. Her gaze shifted between the stairs and the photograph now clenched in her mother's hand, an unexpected storm brewing within her. "Who is down there?" Sarah whispered, her voice trembling like the flickering light above. Her mother shook her head, a flicker of panic crossing her features. "It's not safe. We have to," but before she could finish, the mystery voice interjected again, this time clearer. "Sarah! I'm trying to help." It was as if a door had flung wide open in her mind. The voice belonged to her uncle, Mark, someone she hadn't seen in years. He'd once been a rock in her tumultuous childhood but had slipped into the shadows after her parents split. Why was he here now? "Mark?" She called into the shadows, uncertainty flooding her voice. "Just come down, Sarah. You need to see this." There was something in his tone, a mixture of warmth and desperation, that pulled at her insides. "Enough." Her mother's voice boomed, the crack in her demeanor was apparent. "You don't want to trust him. You don't know what he, Mom. I have to know." The insistence surprised even her. It was as if the weight of her father's secrets hung so heavily, it forced her hand. She felt the tides of destiny shifting beneath her feet. As she scuttled toward the attic stairs, her mother's face morphed from anxiety into outright terror. "Sarah, wait. Don't!" But the storm was already inside her, swirling with a mix of fear, hope, and urgency. With every step down, she could almost hear her heart thumping in rhythm with the raindrops bashing against the roof. She found herself at the bottom of the stairs, teetering in the threshold between the past and the unknown, half anticipating a confrontation. "Mark?" she called again, voice steadier now. The faint silhouette of his form became distinguishable as he emerged from the gloom of their home, every detail imbued with familiarity: his tousled hair, the shape of his glasses resting on his nose. "I thought I lost my chance to explain," he murmured, stepping closer. "Explain what?" Sarah's pulse quickened. She couldn't hide the mix of anger and hope. "Why didn't you come before?" "Because I didn't know how. I didn't understand until..." He paused, glancing at her mother, who stood stiffly, arms crossed in defiance. "Until everything got out of control." Her mother opened her mouth, but Mark cut her off. "Sarah, there are things about our family that you don't know, things that could change everything for you." "Like what?" "That you all kept secrets. That I'm standing here blind because you chose to be silent. Please, I'm not asking you to trust me blindly, but you should know your father had reasons that connect to Clara, that can explain the storm brewing outside of us." The last sentence hit Sarah in the gut, reverberations stirring ancient fears and suppressed questions. "Clara? What do you mean?" Mark's expression softened as he glanced from Sarah to her mother. "You need to see. I didn't come to hurt you. I came because..." He hesitated, urgency spilling into his voice. "I need to protect you." "What do you mean, protect me?" Before Mark could respond, a deafening crash echoed from outside, and the lights flickered ominously. The storm was rising, clawing at the windows of their home. "Let us go to the living room," her mother urged, eyes darting. "Now. They're coming for us." With her heart racing, holding tightly to both fear and fierce determination, Sarah stepped back into the living room, unsure if she was ready to confront the shadows that had woven through her life. But one thing was certain: she was done running. What lay ahead was still obscured, a tangle of questions waiting to be unraveled. Would they face the storm together? Would the truths finally break through? All she could do was follow her instincts and hope. And as thunder cracked overhead, she gathered her courage, knowing she was on the verge of something significant, a storm neither she nor her family could ignore. What awaited them on the other side of this revelation? The living room felt different now, charged with a tension that made it hard to breathe. Shadows flickered across the walls from the candles struggling in the dim light, an odd contrast to the chaos outside. Sarah's heart thudded loudly, almost drowning out the whispers of the storm. She felt as if the very air around her was alive with the weight of unspoken words and unresolved secrets. "Sit down," her mother urged, her voice trembling slightly. "We need to discuss this calmly." But even as she said it, the storm raged harder outside, wind howling like a wounded animal. "Calmly?" Sarah snapped, surprising herself. "How can I be calm when I don't even know what is happening?" Her mother flinched at the rawness in her voice. Mark stepped forward, a soothing presence amidst the tension. "I understand you're scared, Sarah. But what you're feeling is nothing compared to what is coming if we don't take action. And trust me, this is about more than just family secrets." "Then tell me." Sarah almost shouted, frustration pouring out of her. "Tell me the truth. If this is about Clara, I deserve to know." The name hung in the air, heavy and explosive. Mark exchanged a glance with her mother, and Sarah could see the silent battle raging between them. "Clara was your father's sister, and my best friend before things went south," he finally began, his voice steady but filled with an underlying urgency. "When she disappeared, it changed everything. Your father wasn't just grieving her, he was hiding from something dangerous." "Disappeared?" Sarah echoed, her mind racing. 1,000 questions clamored for attention. And you just let him? Why didn't you come to me sooner? Because I didn't know how to reach you, Mark said, desperation creeping into his tone. When your parents split, I thought it would be best to stay away, to let the dust settle. But things haven't settled, Sarah. The storm isn't just outside, it's coming from your family's past. As the rain lashed against the windows, Sarah's thoughts collided. What do you mean dangerous? The weight of fear twisted in her gut. It's about Clara and the family she got involved with before she vanished, Mark continued. They weren't just a family. They were part of something bigger, something that has eyes everywhere. And now he looked directly at Sarah, his expression intense. Now they believe you hold something of hers. Or that you're connected in a way they can't afford to overlook. What could I possibly have that belongs to Clara? Sarah felt cold fear brushing against her skin, sending chills through her body. She hugged the leather journal closer, feeling as if it pulsed against her chest. Your father left clues. He tried to protect you, but I'm afraid they're not enough anymore. Mark's voice lowered, gravitating toward a whisper. You need to understand, Sarah. You're in danger. We all are. Her mind reeled. The journal, the voices, the shadows, did all of this stem from her father's secrets? The door that had just started to open for her now felt like it could slam shut any second. What do we do? First, we need to find out exactly what your father hid. The truth about Clara is entangled with your future. If we're to survive this, we need to face it together. Just then, a blinding flash of lightning illuminated the room, revealing the fear etched on her mother's face. It was a moment frozen in time, a single heartbeat stretched into eternity. Thunder cracked again, louder this time, echoing through the house like a gunshot. Mark? Her mother's voice quavered. What if they've already come for her? Before anyone could respond, the door shuddered violently, a strong wind howling as it rattled on its hinges. Sarah felt her pulse racing, a sinking realization washing over her. They were here. Get ready, Mark said, steel in his voice. We have no time to waste. As the wind howled and shadows lurked at the edges of their world, Sarah knew that this was only the beginning of the storm, not just outside, but within herself. Could she confront the truth about her family's past? Would the revelation hold the answers she sought, or would it plunge her deeper into confusion? With a mix of dread and determination, Sarah braced herself for whatever lay ahead. The storm was alive and breathing, and it felt like they were about to face its fury head-on. What truths would emerge as the storm raged on? Time would reveal all. The wind shrieked against the house, drowning out the unsteady breaths of the three of them. Mark stood his ground, eyes locked on the door as if willing it to remain closed. Sarah felt her heart pound violently in her chest, each beat a reminder of the stakes. She glanced at her mother, whose face was pale, dread etched in every line. They're not just here for the journal, Sarah thought, her grip tightening around it. What if I'm the target? Sarah. Mark's voice broke through her spiraling thoughts. Help me move the furniture against the door. We need to slow them down. Without hesitation, she jumped to action, dragging the coffee table as her mother pushed the couch into place. They worked in frantic silence, the wind outside intensifying as if to mock their efforts. Do you think it's them? Her mother whispered, glancing at Sarah as they set the last piece of furniture in position. What do they want with you? I don't know, Sarah replied, breathless from both exertion and panic. But Mark said they think I have something they want. Which means they already know about the journal, Mark interjected, his tone sharp. We have to keep it safe. It might hold the key to everything, to Clara's disappearance, to what your father was hiding. The door rattled again, a thud reverberating through the room as something slammed against it from the outside. The noise was deep and foreboding, like a warning bell tolling. Stay quiet. Mark hissed, glancing toward the windows, where shadows danced just beyond the glass. We have to be careful now. They might be listening. A shiver raced down Sarah's spine, the weight of hidden eyes pressing on her. As Mark moved closer to her, she felt the support of his presence. "What should we do next?" she whispered. "Hold tight," he replied, a determined spark in his eyes. "We need to buy time until this storm dies down." Outside, lightning illuminated the darkness, revealing shadows that loomed larger and closer to their sanctuary. Sarah could almost feel their hunger, palpable and suffocating. She took a deep breath, pulling from every ounce of courage she had. How could something hidden long ago unravel her entire life now? "Mark," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, "what if we confront them? What if I have to know what they want?" "No." Her mother gasped, fear flashing across her face. "You can't, Sarah. That's exactly what they want you to do. You have to stay hidden. We need a plan." A desperate silence filled the room, the storm rattling the air. Nothing was certain, yet everything felt impossibly close to shattering. But then, a flicker of determination ignited within Sarah. If the answers lay within the mystery of Clara and her family, she needed to be brave. "I won't let fear trap me," she murmured, looking at her mother and Mark. "I need to know the truth. Whatever it takes." As the wind howled louder, Sarah could feel the forces colliding around her. Could she uncover secrets that had long been buried? Would that knowledge set her free or ensnare her further into the danger? A ghostly knock echoed through the house, a chilling prelude to whatever was to come. The storm outside mirrored the turmoil in her heart. "Prepare yourself," Mark urged, gripping her shoulder firmly. "We need to make a choice, run or face them." Sarah took a deep breath, the storm raging around them echoing the tumult inside her. "Then let us face them," she said, her voice steadier than she felt. "Together." But just then, the wind shifted, and with it came a voice from the shadows, smooth and unnerving. "You can't run from what you are." The air grew thick with tension, and Sarah's breath caught in her throat. What did they mean by that? For the first time, she truly understood the storm was not just outside, it was brewing within her, and she was about to find out just how powerful it could become. The choice would change everything. Would she be ready for the truth? Sarah's mind raced, caught in a whirlpool of fear and bravery. As the malevolent voice lingered, echoing through the room, she could almost feel the shadows pressing against the walls, hungry for something she couldn't fully understand. "What am I?" she thought, barely able to comprehend the gravity of the unknown. With a reluctant glance toward her mother, she saw a flicker of fear mirrored in her eyes. But it was quickly replaced by a fierce resolve. Mark was still gripping her shoulder tightly. It was grounding, but she sensed his increasing worry. "This isn't just about the journal anymore," he murmured, his gaze darting around the dimly lit room. "If they know who you are, they'll stop at nothing to get to you." Another thud against the door sent a tremor through her, jolting Sarah back to the moment. "We can't let them in," she whispered, adrenaline surging in her veins. Outside, the storm had transformed into a raging beast, tearing at the world without. Another scream of wind howled through the cracks in the house, drowning out her thoughts. They needed a plan, a dangerous one, but every moment felt more precarious than the last. "Can we get out the back?" her mother suggested, voice trembling. "Maybe we can hide until it's safe." But Sarah shook her head. "What if they're already there? We can't let them capture me. I have to face this, whatever it is." She searched her mother's eyes for understanding, and to her surprise, she found it. "If you're really set on this," Mark began, his voice barely audible, "then we need to be strategic. We have to find a way to confront them on our terms." "Like a trap?" her mother interjected, her brow furrowing. "You think we can outsmart them?" "Exactly," Mark replied. His determination was infectious. "Let us set up defenses, but we also need to listen. If they think they can intimidate us, we can use that against them." Sarah took a deep breath, letting the idea settle within her. "I'll become bait," she said, her voice unwavering now. I'll make them come to me. Her mother's eyes widened in horror. No, Sarah. That's too risky. It's the only way, she insisted. I need answers. They think I'm hiding something, but what if I'm the key to uncovering this whole mess? The thunder cracked outside, as if the world itself was warning her against the path she chose. But even as fear gnawed at her heart, a thrill sparked through her, igniting a fire she didn't know she possessed. Okay then, Mark said, steely resolve flooding his voice. Let us prepare ourselves. We can rig the front door, barricade it, but leave enough space to allow me to reach into the classic old bookshelf by the window. There's a secret trapdoor hidden behind it. If it gets too intense, Sarah could hardly breathe. You mean there's a way out? He nodded, determination glinting in his eyes. If things go south, it's our escape route. They started to gather supplies, furniture, decorative items, anything they could use to fortify the house, but Sarah's thoughts were elsewhere, consumed with uncertainty. Mark, she said, pausing as she pushed the armchair to prop up the door, if they come in, I need you to promise me something. Anything, he replied, brow furrowed. Promise me you won't let them take me. His silence spoke volumes. She could see his struggle, his inner conflict. I promise, he finally said, and they locked eyes, sealing the vow amidst the chaos outside. As they continued their preparations, Sarah felt unease settle heavily in her chest. The shadows still lurked beyond their sanctuary. And the words of that voice, still echoing, lingered with an unsettling presence in her mind. You can't run from what you are. With the weight of many questions hanging over her, the door rattled again, more violently this time, as if the shadows sensed the growing tension within the room. Get ready, Mark whispered, staring intently at the door. Whatever was about to happen would challenge them all beyond their limits. Sarah squared her shoulders, heart racing, knowing that answers were finally within reach. But as the door began to twist ominously, she wondered if she truly was ready for the revelation that awaited her on the other side. And before she could process the situation, the door slammed open, a blinding flash of lightning illuminating the figures that stepped into the room. Could she handle the truth of her past? Would she find the strength within her as the shadows threatened to consume everything she loved? The door flung open with a force that sent a ripple of cold air through the room. Shadows swarmed in, taking on human form, figures cloaked in darkness and intent. The flickering candlelight danced against their faces, revealing eyes glinting with purpose. Sarah's heart raced, thunderous beats echoing against the chaos spiraling inside her. Sarah, one of the figures growled, stepping into the dimness, their presence both imposing and familiar. It was Victor, an old acquaintance tied to her father's past, loyal until the storm took everything from him. Behind him, others lingered, faces shrouded, harbingers of stories untold. You've stirred the pot, Victor continued, voice rough yet edged with a hint of concern. They want answers, and you're the key. Her breath hitched. I'm not hiding anything. I just need to understand. Anger and fear churned inside her, swirling like the storm outside. Stop this madness, Mark interjected, stepping forward, protective and firm. You won't intimidate her. We've heard enough of the threats. Why are you really here? Victor's expression softened for a split second, a flicker of regret. Because of Clara. What she left behind is dangerous. The truths you think you possess might put you all at risk. Sarah felt as if the ground had shifted beneath her. Clara? Was it true? Was her connection to her father's sister more profound than she knew? What do you know about my father? She pressed, desperation clinging to her like a shroud. Before Victor could respond, the shadows around him shifted. A tall figure stepped forward, zeal lighting their eyes. The truth you seek has consequences, Sarah, they said, voice smooth yet chilling. Your father's legacy isn't just a matter of money. It's about power. Power that could change everything. But why me? Sarah cried, frustration boiling over. What could I possibly have that could matter? Everything, Victor replied, stepping into the light. You are the last of his bloodline, the bearer of what Clara left behind. And what you choose to do with it will send ripples through generations. Her heart raced at his words, heavy with weight. Memories flickered through her mind, her father's laughter, moments stitched with love amidst the pain, secrets sweltering just out of reach. Tell me what I need to do, Sarah found herself saying, feeling the resolve swell within her. I can't live in fear anymore. I want to know. Victor exchanged a look with the tall figure, nodding slowly. We'll help you, but understand that this path isn't without danger. They'll come for you, seeking what you possess. A deep breath steadied her resolve. Then let them come. The words unleashed a cascade of courage, igniting something loftier, the will to confront her past and seize control of her future. Mom, Mark, she turned to them, this is it. I'm ready. Her mother's face shimmered with pride amidst concern. Every step will be your own, Sarah. Know that. Mark, fierce determination in his eyes, affirmed, we'll face whatever comes together. You aren't alone. Even as Victor and the others readied themselves, shadows coiling tighter around the room, the bond of family and courage forged anew within Sarah. This wasn't merely a confrontation with the past, it was a declaration of her own power, chanting softly against the storm. Gather what you need, Victor announced. You'll need protection and strength, an army of your own. Clara's allies still exist, they'll stand beside you. And as they began making plans, determination fluttered within Sarah's heart. A storm might rage outside, but within, she felt an unyielding certainty it was time to rewrite the narrative of her lineage. Whatever comes next, she whispered, holding her journal tight, heart racing, we will face the future together. I won't run away from any storm. I will stand firm. Outside, the wind raged on, but inside that living room, a different kind of storm brewed, a fresh storm of purpose. With hope surged, she finally felt ready to step forward, the legacy of her father guiding her toward whatever awaited them. This wasn't just about Clara anymore. It was about Sarah claiming her narrative, old ties a tether, but the future a blank slate. As they moved in unison, preparing to confront the unknown, she realized, the past might haunt her footsteps, but this was her chance to embrace the wild adventure that lay ahead. Now it was time to act. Time to save her family and finally uncover the truth that bound them all. The darkness shifted and crackled. Sarah braced herself, holding tight to hope as the door remained ajar, a reminder that every story has the potential for a new beginning or an ending yet to unfold. And with that, the journey towards self and truth blossomed before her like a guiding light surging through the storm. If you felt that spark of courage ignite in Sarah, you need to subscribe now to experience more amazing transformations. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep inspiring stories alive. Comment your reactions and feelings about this incredible ending. Every thought counts, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your support means everything. You have the power to change lives. Don't wait not even one more second to share. All true fans understand the importance of supporting this channel with every action you take. Let's go.